We lost Omar's shot there, but let's discuss as we wait for the trial to pick back up any moment. Joining us right now, Shanlon and Van Jones. Shan, let me start with you. The prosecution has called 5 witnesses today. They all watched George Floyd die last May. They were there in person. 2 of them recorded what they saw. Now, they're witnesses to a crime, so I understand them testifying, but they also filmed the crime. I mean, the jury saw this with their own eyes, too. So explain the prosecution's strategy.
The prosecution is using a very compelling strategy. They're trying to put the jurors in the shoes of those eyewitnesses, trying to put them right there on that street to feel the same outrage, to feel the same helplessness that all of us felt, and how those witnesses must have felt right there. That's very strong evidence, and it's so interesting that in this time, there's so much video available from these cell phones. These aren't government surveillance cameras. It's not government evidence. It's evidence that came from citizens who watched it. So that's a very compelling way to present this case, but there's some dangers too, because it's very emotional, and prosecutors will have to be careful that they don't end up being accused of appealing too much to emotion later in the trial.
And Van, we heard from one witness who was 17 when she witnessed George Floyd die. She talked about how when she looks at pictures of George Floyd, she sees her dad, she sees her cousins, her uncles, and night after night she stays up apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more when she saw him struggling on the street. Heart-wrenching, really.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a lynching, which is what this was, you aren't just torturing the individual who you're strangling to death. You're torturing the whole community. That was the point of the lynching. It wasn't just to lord power over one person. It wasn't just to torture one person to death. It was all of the witnesses who were standing there helpless to rescue their uncle, their child, their father from this horrific act. And that's why this thing struck such a deep chord. It's not just the jurors who are being put in the position of being the witness. The whole world has been in that position for nearly a year. That video, that young woman who's going to be tortured by this for the rest of her life, did a service to humanity, and she suffered for it.
Let's go back to Minnesota.